Hey guys, welcome back to Drumfills Cafe in English. I have to mention that because if you're not familiar with the channel, we have shows in French and Spanish and Portuguese. I'm inviting you to go to drumfills.com. All is there. You will find our previous interviews. You will find also article because we have editors there writing article like monthly. Our platform is based on 6-month pattern. So 3 months is a season, another 3 months. We have 2 official season in a year, and after that we have like some external thing coming out, some extra shows once in a while. By the way, we are in the 4th season in November, so if you didn't know that, go check it out. We have a lot of good big artists that have been on the show: David Garibaldi, Todd Zuckerman, Rick Latham, Don Lombardi, many other. So take time to go look at it. If you don't know even the French or Spanish like artists, you can also discover new talent. We had actually Horacio Hernandez in the Spanish version, so and he did the interview in Spanish, so that's pretty cool too. So go look at that. Sometimes some people ask me, "Hey, do you have like contests and all?" The best reference is directly on our website. You will find the contest. You will find also other information like who are the official member or the members, who are our friends. We have educative video too. I'm inviting you to go see back to school section. You have a few teaser of a few friends of the Drumfills Cafe. And if you want more of them, you can go on their website of taking some private lesson. And sometime, and it's coming soon, we're going to have like Drumfills Cafe master classes. So people will be able to take some master classes with a few of our members. So let's go with our first artist of today. He's from Berlin in Germany. He played with a lot of artists. I won't name all, but hey, it's a lot. So Sarah Connor, Flora Kings, Gloria Gaynor, Della Miles, Yvonne, Carter Field, The Voice Germany, Randy Brecker. Well, the list is super long. He's a studio guy and also a show, like a full session drummer. Let's welcome in Felix Lerhmann. What's up, my friend?
Hey, man, Eric. So good to be here, man. Thanks for the introduction.
Yeah, well, I worked for 2 weeks practicing that.
Yeah, because the list is so long. I sent you everybody I played with.
Actually, I was checking your website. It's cool. I like the fact you highlight some name, not because they're bigger or others, just because they're used of so many people you played with. It's easier to read who and what and live and touring and things like that. I like it.
Oh man, it was a try.
That is cool. So how about you, man? How's the pandemic for you for the past year and a half? How have you been dealing with that?
Oh man, I mean, it was a strange time, but at the same time, I was really lucky because I could take a little break of touring and being constantly on the road, which I mean, I've been working the last 10, 12 years before the pandemic, nonstop, focusing and more or less working on my own little burnout. I never had one, but it was a really good time to take a deep breath. And everybody was really nice to me. I had a great time with my girlfriend at home. And I have a home studio where I'm working from. So I'm actually more or less working still constantly. But I'm really happy it's coming back here in Germany too. Smaller gigs, jazz club gigs are back for sure. So
yeah, it's I think it's a big story for a lot of people, and that's that story of taking a break, go back to some roots, and be ready for when the coming back will happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I really started practicing again, which I didn't do, like focusing on stuff in years. Honestly, I mean.
Yeah, practicing it's something. Some people didn't have time. Actually, I was thinking I will practice a lot. I back to practice, but even not what I was thinking to do more, but not even. I was so busy. But I understand what you mean. Well, you were mentioning you toured a lot, and this is drainful. And a lot of people, they don't because we have a lot of people watching the show. They don't have ideas. What is really touring? We're not talking about take your drum a Friday night, doing one gig and sleeping overnight in another city and back the Saturday. Yeah. You were really touring like a lot of shows, big tour bus, hotel is really demanding. What are your how you deal with that normally with family, food, if you go to the gym, whatever, how you manage a tour? Do you go tour there, because every tour can be different, so but the
That's
base
the
of the
thing.
tour,
Yeah,
how
yeah,
you
yeah.
how you build that, for example?
I mean, it's really it's sometimes it's crazy. Sometimes I do gigs with private jets, and the next day you're back in the van, 9 people next to each other and stuff, coming from
Exactly.
one to another. So touring can be really, really different.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, you have to. I mean, I'm really happy to have a stable background. My parents, my sister, my girlfriend, they're always there for me. So, and my father is a professional musician as well.
Oh,
So I
okay, I didn't
was
know
more or
that.
less used to that kind of lifestyle.
Okay.
My mother's a teacher. My sister is now a teacher. We actually doing basically the same as our parents do.
Oh, that's so cool, huh?
Yeah, but
Wow.
touring, yeah, you have to really try to catch as much sleep as you can, and you have to be able to sleep like in every situation. When you're in the train, you have to be
Oh
able
yeah.
to sleep sitting. Those kind of skills are, I think, really, really important to make
So
it
true.
through touring. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know
You're,
for you, but I know I have kind of the same path as you. I've been touring for 16 years, like 300 shows a year, no stop until the
oh
pandemic.
yeah.
And on my side, playing drum was not that the big deal. The big deal was the touring.
Hmm.
To have habits, like you said,
Absolutely.
switching to a
Airports.
city to another city, artist. Sometimes you go on your drum and you feel more home because it's more something you feel connected, but
Yeah,
after
yeah.
that you're back on track on the road, and it's for me it was harder to do that than the playing the drums, I guess.
Absolutely. If you're on the drum kit, that's the me time. That's what I'm here for. This is why I traveled all those miles and miles. But yeah, I mean,
Exactly.
especially touring, I in Europe, I guess it's the same in the States and in
Hmm.
America in general. But early flights, a lot of early airports, that's the thing most people don't see. So you have to be able to sleep on the plane.
Oh yeah, this is hard. You finish the show, let's say like 1 a.m. The time you're back a bit taking your things, you're back to a flight at 4, because the flight leave at 6. Yeah, no, that's a hard thing. And mostly when you do big tour, do you carry your own kit or you go backline? How you manage that in
It
general?
it really depends, but the last couple of years in every band, more or less, I had a backliner taking care of it. And then it helps a lot if you have a good partnership with your endorsement guys,
Hmm.
the companies you work with, if they can help a little bit, because for drummers, that's the main logistical thing to organize. Where is my drum kit on the next tour? How does it get from point A to B? And
Oh
then
yeah.
especially if you're switching bands, which I do a lot because I work as a freelancer. I have my own band and I have like 3, 4 main artists I work with, but it's a lot of stuff coming and going, just
Yeah, yeah.
jumping
It's
in
a
and
it's
out.
a big thing. And you just mentioned something cool too. You said in the train, because in like here in the state or Canada, we have train, but it's like train from back in like 90 years back. Like I mean we have train, but I mean they're not super train like you have in Europe, So it's
Yeah,
very rare. I don't remember. Maybe once I took the train for go to a gig, but it was an exception. But I remember to take the train. For us, it's more like like tour bus or van. We rent, or plane. You will just fly, because Canada is the second, for example, second biggest country in the world after Russia. So
absolutely.
when
Yeah.
some people say, I'm going to visit you in Canada, but so where? So I will be like in Toronto, for example, but Montreal, Toronto is 6, 7 hours. So
Yeah.
everything is far. In Europe, you have so many close countries. You can
Hmm.
really do gigs and tour in a
Yeah, yeah.
quick clocking things, so it's cool.
But still, you have to be even able to sleep on that 90-year-old
Oh yeah,
train.
exactly,
If you
exactly.
can
That's
sleep
a
there,
true.
then you can make it everywhere.
Yeah. No, it's you're right. You're right. And because you said you have a studio, are you the kind of guy on tour you have your little computer with a keyboard and composing stuff, or have a on
No.
sound card tracking? Because I know there's people that do that, or you're more like focusing on your tour and yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
I'm more the guy with the practice pad or the sticks in the hands. Especially riding a van for 2 hours, I have my sticks and I just do more or less the warm up already. So No,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
the MIDI keyboard guy. I mean,
No, it's something. I know people they have like they're drummer, but they are playing guitars all the time. Like
mhm.
I was interviewing Dominic Messi, the drummer for Celine Dion, and
Okay.
Dominic he played for her for like 25 years, touring all over the world. And he was telling me because he's a good friend, and he was telling me like, Eric, I'm a drummer. I don't play drum anymore. I only do the drum when I'm really on my drum set for the artist.
Yeah.
Over after that, I'm playing guitars and composing song. Some so everybody
Beautiful.
has their own thing. You know what I mean?
I think it'll come sooner or later. I started practicing a little guitar now because, as I told you before, my father's a guitar player, and I never
Okay.
touched his damn guitar. So it's actually a shame.
Whoa.
So I have to start now to
Is
show
it's
him
good you
some
mentioned
riffs.
that. Did you play with your father? Like, did you play drums with him for fun when you were a kid, or it just never
Absolutely,
happened?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We jammed a lot. So we had a house, and back in the yard we had like a little shed, and there was our rehearsal space, and we could really play 24/7. And yeah, on a regular basis, there were even times when we played 5 days a week, just an hour jamming together. And
Wow,
we,
this
we
is
did
so
a couple
cool.
of tours together as well in the last couple of years. So I played with
Oh,
a
great.
really famous East German singer-songwriter guy. He's 75 years old,
Whoa,
and they call him Maschine, which means
machine,
machine.
machine. Exact.
And he's really, and me and my father, we're on the band, and it looks like the Muppet Show. I sit there on the riser, see those old guys playing and doing the windmill all the time on the guitar.
Wow, that's
Great.
so cool, huh?
It's really, really funny. It's a
And
real dusty
it's
rock
a
gig.
big clash. Yeah, exact. And do you have a big difference with your father, because 78 years old is the singer, or your father is more the same age of, so
No,
because
my
sometimes
father's early 60s, I think
okay,
63 now or something. Yeah.
so that's cool, so you can connect with like with music, because that's the good thing about music. Whatever age you are, you sit down on your instrument, can be whatever instrument, piano, drums, and you can really talk with someone else, even
Yeah.
if you're different ages, and the
Mhm.
people doesn't realize that it's like talking another language.
Absolutely. I'm really happy for all the records and CDs my father brought at home, stuff that I would never buy. I made sure I got in touch pretty early with the right music, which
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
Van Halen and Jeff Beck.
No, no. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, Jeff Beck. I remember the DVD with Vinny in London.
Yeah,
It's a classic
Ronnie
video,
Scott. Yeah.
it's a classic show. But but it's cool, man. And you have your studio. So, did your father has, because it's a rehearsal space, but did your father was recording things back then, and he introduced you to mix and stuff, or it's by your own later on?
It's actually by my own later
Okay,
on.
okay,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah. He was working in studios, external studios a lot. But it was actually what we had back in the day was a pure rehearsal room. And I started it like two years ago here, my own thing, because I found out that less and less record companies will spend money to rent
Ah, yeah.
studios for a couple of days to just record drums. And so it's so
Is
common.
that true?
Everybody does it. Yeah, yeah. So I
Yeah,
had to
if you
do
have a,
something.
and you just mentioned something good is, so they don't have so they don't want to rent that space, but now the good thing, you can be in your place with good mics,
Mhm.
and even not the best mics, you could have normal mics, but you know how to work, your room and everything, the
Exactly.
console, and you can have a very good product, maybe better than some studios with a technician is not used to work at that studio. So this is
Hmm.
something very interesting, and during
Yeah.
the pandemic, I guess that was a something super popular now. Like a lot of people, they build even little studio. You know what I mean? Like, doesn't need to be the greatest in the world. Look, just something for they can keep tracks, of
Mhm.
their record. It's
But
great.
especially in that
Love it.
pandemic, everybody was available. You could get everybody, anybody on your record. So
At any time, like, yeah, what's
that's
up? Like,
right.
what are you doing? Yeah, but I think this have we learned a lot from that thing. But I think the people really miss live shows. I think it's
Mhm.
really something. It's gonna come back more in 22. I think
Mhm.
22 will be the year everything. I saw friends, a lot of friends. Their store are restarting February, March, April, all over the world. So I think it's
Mhm.
this gonna be a good restart. In the meantime, like you mentioned, is more jazz shows. About that, what are your project right now? Like jazz shows, like a or little show you're doing around town,
Yeah.
in Berlin.
I got my own band now, which was
Okay.
was planned even before the pandemic, but
Oh,
we
okay.
made it all happen during the pandemic. And it's a fantastic band. I'm really, really proud of it. Never been so proud for a record that I made.
So
The
cool.
band is called Marriage Material because we're four guys. We really are fucking marriage material. And it's drums and bass and the guitar player from Finland and the
Okay.
wonderful vibraphone marimba player from Austria.
Wow.
And it's a quartet, and it's really something special. And we play a couple of smaller gigs here in Germany. And the record is out now, I have to mention. Really, check it out. Marriage Material. Hell
What
yes.
was just mention where the people can find that out and with the website and the name complete.
It's marriagematerial.de.
Okay.
You can
There's
find
the
anything, or Marriage Material Music on Instagram.
perfect.
Stuff like
So,
that. Yeah. And
so
then I
it's cool.
play with a German guitar player and singer. He sounds like more or less like the poor version of George Benson.
Okay.
A great guitar player. Thorsten Gutz is his name. And
Okay.
then I play with a female saxophonist, Stefanie Lottermoser, and it's kind of
Okay.
smooth jazz stuff. And I've been on her record, and it's out. And she's hustling a lot of gigs. I still have 25 shows to do with her this year.
Oh, wow.
She's really brave, calling all those promoters over and over again.
Well, I'm glad to hear that because you see people work hard to make it happen, to open things. You know what I mean? And it's normal. We just want to do that. It's our life, and we want to play music, and it's important.
But I
And
don't know if I want to call the promoter all the time.
You're right. This is hard. It's a circle, and when you get in, it's easier. But to call each venues and make it happen, it's hard. Whatever who you are, it's not that easy. And I give the credit to that person.
Yeah, there's a reason why there's a job called Booker.
Okay. It's help. But we're good at something. We can good at many different things. But for example, I know there's people that are really good for production, coordinating, or they're like just like the sound technician, musician. So it's good to have an ensemble. And the people doesn't realize that sometimes a band is not just a band. There's a lot of people, surrounding the band to make that band better or more popular or promoted them. So it's a really important thing to think about. So, well, but it's cool. You mentioned that you have a lot of projects. I was asking you off the record if you were teaching, but you said not much. But it's okay. Everybody they have some. Like I don't take much student. I have like just a few. I have friends. They have like 50 students per semester. You know what I mean? But you just you don't like to teach, or it's not something you don't have time, or it's a.
I think I'm not a good teacher. That's the first thing. It's not enough patience. There's little patience coming from my side, but and I don't have a real concept. I mean, I know what I practice. I take a lot of guys who just come to me to sit in for 2 hours. Then we do like a double lesson, but that's it. Then we probably never see each other again. Because I don't really have a teaching concept. What's coming I can show what I do and what I practice. And you just have to do your homework, and then everything should be clear.
No, it's good. It's good, but I'm sure people could be cool to see you, for example, recording you live, like on a tour, and like the people will learn something. I'm more like as an educational, real life drummer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Todd Zuckerman did this on his DVD, with practical tips. Also, it's really good. I like that point of view because, as you mentioned before, a lot of people don't know what it takes to be on the road.
No, and to bring to have the good gear, and like you said, the good support too. I have tips. You might have tips too, but I remember I'm super geek on my tuning. I don't like to tune forever. I like to arrive, GTT is done, but I like to have my setup in some ways. I will feel comfortable. If it's a big show, if I know I will tour with the same setup or something like that. Do you have any like crazy thing? For me, I would say I like to have my seat at some distance, and I put a tape sometimes so I know where is my distance from my snare, and if I'm sitting there, I'm comfortable. Do you have any like crazy things like that for your setup?
No, not really. Let me think about it for a second. But no, I'm actually pretty easy with setting up, and because I'm even if I have a drum tech, if I work with this guy, it's happening. Everything is good. But some guys, I have problems. I'm left-handed, and they cannot imagine setting
Other
up a
side.
left-handed set. So they have it. Sometimes looks really weird what they do. It's like
Oh
the
yeah.
tom is on the other side. It's like those stuff.
Yes.
I'm really easy, and no taping the chair and
No,
stuff.
it's I would say it's only my only thing, but I'm like you for that. I can play whatever setup, whatever sizes. I will arrive and I will just put my snare the right size and it's done. But
Yeah,
you just mentioned something too about like you're sitting down the tech like invert your lefty. Did you try to play righty also like or like some
yeah.
like back in the days?
I mean, I started when I was 4 years old, and I didn't even know which hand will be my writing hand. So and
Yeah.
I set it up left-sided because my father is also left-handed,
Oh,
but
okay.
he was not allowed to write with his left hand in East Germany back in the day. And he
Yeah,
writes with his right. He plays guitar right-sided.
yeah. It was the
And so,
devil's hands.
yeah, he was really sensitive about that. So he set it up left side, and it stayed like this for a couple of years. And my second teacher, when I was like 10 years old, he was too lazy to change it all the time for only one student. So he suggested try right-sided. I tried it for 2 weeks when I was 10 years old, but I found out I was already way too good to start again from scratch.
It's hard. It's hard. It's so hard. Like to flip one side, just
Yeah,
the right hand playing jazz on the right or switching the other
yeah,
hand. The
hands
feel
are
is
okay,
different.
but as soon as you start opening hi-hats and stuff, the
Oh
footwork
no,
like gave me the hardest time. But I tried it here and there, but no,
no. Yeah,
always
yeah.
left-handed.
Yeah, I'm a righty-handed, but one day I was on tour and I have an operation on my right foot, so I have to figure it out to do the show because there's no syndicate and I was touring,
Mm.
so I was playing with a double bass drum pedal with my left hand, my left feet, sorry, foot, and I have a closed hat on my right, so I was playing like open. So and it's funny because after the few gigs I did like that, maybe 10 days. My musical director told me, "Hey, Eric, I really like the way you groove when you play like that." I was different groove, because I
Another
was
swing to it, yeah.
exact. So I was like, okay, so let's do that. So sometime I was playing some song open instead to play a righty, just for that vibe, that groove. They like it, so yeah, okay,
Good, man.
let's do that. But
You know
it's
what?
something. Well, go ahead.
Sometimes I have the feeling that on a different set, on a rental set or whatever,
Mhm.
I got the feeling that I play more inspired than on my kit that I'm used to, that is always touring with me. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
good to have it a little differently. It's that you have to fight a little bit more for the sound and
Yes.
stay focused where
For
everything is. It's not 100% in the right position. So I like that a lot, actually. It's a bit
yeah.
punky.
Oh yeah, no, I understand because I have two good friends. They are lefty drummers, and to my college in drums, that guy was coming from out of town, and he wanted to set up his drums sometime. So one day he asked me, Eric, can I set up in your basement? Because I was lucky. I was living in the city of the college, so I said yes. So I have a basement. He bring his drum, and he was a lefty. So I was trying everything righty, and I was going to the lefty set and trying everything lefty at the same time. So I was trying both feel. So and they always told me backline, it's cool, but if the setup is for 10 drummers on the festival and there's one lefty, that was them, you have to
Yeah,
go, and like you said, you have to switch. But they learn a lot from there. You go basic, like not all the time two toms. They were going maybe okay, one tom and one
that's
floor.
right.
It's easy to switch, things like that. Well, it's experience. We learn from there.
It is. Yeah, they have to stay loose because drummers can be such paranoid people with so many screws and everything where you can
Oh
adjust
yeah.
every little bit on the pedal, especially with DW pedals. There is so much to adjust, and you could spend hours on that stuff.
Yeah, actually, I got lost like that because I have the MCD pedal. I have a few of them, and one day I start to play with the adjustment, and I was completely lost on my feel because I was trying too much things. So I talked with my buddies at DW, said, "No, go back to reset pedal because they give you a paper with the reset setting." So I reset the setting for back, and after I only move a few details because I have two. And one feels better than the other just because of the setting, and it's almost the same. So I know what you mean. It's complicated sometimes when you go deep in that. Actually, some kids, I'm sure they can be lost in that when you go too much in the geek side, the gear side, instead of focusing on their playing. One question about that. I know you learn from your family. You play with everybody. You went to school in drums too, right?
Only private lessons.
Private lessons. Okay.
You know, I planned to study after school, and I even had a scholarship for Berkeley. 80% scholarship, but I never showed up because I was so fed up with school after that. And I had already the chance to go on tour right after school, so it was
fast.
I was able to work really 5 days after graduation, high school.
So that's a you're a lucky guy, but you work for that too. I mean, it's not just about talent. You work to make it happen. Yeah, and because the people you have to understand that it's not just talent. You practice for that, and you work for that too. And it's a good mix. You were mentioning like when after school, so your parents let you go out at 17, 18 years old right away on tour.
It was 19. We had to do 13 years of school here to finish high school here. Yeah, and I was 19, and I already started touring when I was 17, and I had missed a lot of school and stuff. But I had like a main pop gig that happened for me with a female singer, Yvonne Katterfeld. She was really big in 2004.
Back in the days.
Back in the day. So I had really the chance to play only with her 100 gigs per year, and that happened for 3 years.
That's great. Good for you.
Was lucky. But I showed up on every jam session since I was 16 or so. And the best birthday gift from my sister was business cards back in the day. It was even before Facebook, MySpace. This was really, I was really on the edge. That happened like a couple of years later, but handing out business cards. Felix Lerhmann, drummer. Call me.
I have the same. I remember, actually, I found a few the other day here. Like in my luggage, I say, hey, that's business card from back in like 20 years back, but it was about time. And you give the wrong phone number, so you have to flip the card and write the good one when you change, you know. And the people said it doesn't work. It's a pager. Yeah, remember the pagers? Back in the days. Hey, at the time fly. I have maybe two questions more, and we're done. You did some TV shows and some like a big production. And what are your cues for the people when you get in those, let's say, television program? When you approach, the production approach you, they give you charts, and you know it's going to be like a show, let's say like 2 hours, like 25 songs. How you approach them? Are you the kind of guy you will learn all by your heart, or you reading charts, you know, like note per note? How you prepare yourself to that gig?
So if there are charts, that's the best thing that can happen. I learned to read charts at an early age, but I was a really, really lazy reader for a long time. And I had to learn on the practical way during gigs and stuff. So it happened to me a lot. You have to be able to read. If there is a chart, then literally you're all on the same page. You have a basis what you can talk over with the band. If there's a live recording, MP3s, whatever, even better. But just every gig is different, and you have to know the stuff and prepare yourself as good as you can. The drummer has to be the best prepared in the band, actually. Even though we only have to read horizontally, only rhythm, nobody cares if I hit crash 1 or crash 2 or tom 1 or tom 2. In 98%, nobody will realize it.
Yeah. Except if you do the Phil Collins, like a typical feel, but in general, if the song is a normal pop song, let's say, like you say, it doesn't matter much. It's more like to be on time, be at the right place. Punches sometimes are really important between sections and feel the transition. But that's it. And I'm sure you use a lot like visual, because I'm a musician like you, but I don't know for you, but I read more the people watching them playing when I'm playing live than hearing them. I like to see
No.
where you put your hands, the keyboard. I know where the chord's gonna go. So it's funny, but it's like when I do it like a without chart. I mean, like if I'm in a bar and I don't know how it's gonna happen, I
Yeah.
really like to see how my musician's gonna go with their chords that bring me at the right place. I don't know for you, but
Absolutely.
it's for me.
That's actually the best thing you can do. It's interaction. That's why you're on stage together. Yeah.
Exactly. Hey, it's almost done. What are your next things coming out? Let's say for end of 21 and beginning of 22. Like how it look like?
I play with this Machine guy again in
Yeah.
December. We got a couple of gigs coming, and my main gig, Sarah Connor, my main blonde female singer. She's actually really the best-selling female artist of all times in Germany. She's really big here, and we're gonna tour again starting in March. And then all those gigs that are were supposed to happen in 2020 are in 2022 now. So we got like 70 gigs with her next year.
That's a lot.
Let's see how that goes. Yeah, and recording here and there. Make it happen.
That's good, man.
Practicing my ass off.
That's cool. And the people can reach you by your website, basically.
Instagram, Facebook. So yeah, I'll check it all. But yeah, check my homepage and my band, Marriage Material.
Yeah, I will check it out for sure. We'll go check it out after the interview. Thanks for being part of the show. It's super nice to have you on board. I wish you all the best. Next time I'm going to Europe, let's have I'm planning to go in Switzerland to Paiste. So I should stop to say hi. Let's have a beer or something.
In Berlin, it's only 10,000 kilometers away.
No. I mean, but I will go in Europe traveling. I'm planning to flew, taking trains to go to see a few friends around Europe. So, but it's just actually I was planning to go there like before the pandemic, but all fuck up. So we have to adapt. So it's gonna be later. But well, stay safe, man, and let's keep in touch.
Stay healthy.
Bye. Bye. Thank you to Felix. Time flies, it's crazy. And if you want to have more information about him, go look at his website. What's up, guys? So let's go with our second artist. The only thing I would like to remember you, we have a .com, so drumfillscafe.com. You can find whatever information you want. We're not just a channel. We are like a kind of online magazine, like at this time, because we have a lot of things happening. Like we have article, contest, promotion, little tip classes called in the section back to school. So you go check it out who are giving like lesson there. You can contact them, and yes, you can get lessons with them. So let's go with our artist. A lot of things to say, but I will make it short, and we're gonna go talk with him. He played with a lot of bands: Eternal 8, Nile, Malevolent, Creation, Divine Empire, Council of the Fallen, Today is the Day, Tromedy, Aurora Borealis, Serpent Rise, his project. He did a lot of many like drum clinic, drum fest all around the world at the PASIC, Drum Live, the NAM, the Singapore Drum Fest, the Modern Drummer in 2008. Well, let's go talk with him about all those projects. What's up, my friend Derek? How are you doing?
Eric, thanks for having me, man.
It's a pleasure, but it's a really good pleasure because I'm very happy because I really dig your playing back in the days and still now. You're really a drummer. You were a machine back then. You're still a good drummer now, and you always grew up as an artist, and I really like that. You're not staying at the same line, and you say, "This is me. I'm staying there." You really always try to reach other levels.
Right. Yeah, I try. I think we all do, though. That's one thing. That's an endless endeavor of drummers. Realistically, it's nuts how many of us are just never happy with what we're doing, and we're always looking to improve and break down new rhythmical barriers and everything else. So yeah, it's a fun lifetime achievement kind of thing, you know.
Yeah, you're right. And I was mentioning something of the record before we start. You did a drum clinic back in the days in Montreal, and I really like the fact you were talking to the drummers. Like, even if you play metal, or if you play rock, or if you play jazz, don't stick only on that thing. Try to open your different doors and try to reach different style and incorporate those signature or style or whatever rhythms into your playing. And I remember you give a demonstration of playing like kind of jazz feel, but bringing double bass drum pedal, or vice versa, switching other things. This is something you always like to do from you're a kid, or you start to grow that when you were like studying?
Well, I think it comes from, there was no such thing as extreme metal when I started playing drums. I mean, the heaviest thing we had was Alice Cooper and Black Sabbath, Lucifer's Friend. There were heavy bands, but it wasn't like today,
Totally.
And I came from a musical family. If pretty much anybody who's ever done any research into me, probably knows that. I mean, my dad had a song on Billboard in the late '80s, mid '80s on the country charts, and I got a chance to see recording up close at a very young age, real recording, like in a real studio, not just computer stuff in your bedroom. And so I grew up with all of that, and it just kind of steamrolled from there. I mean, we had a very musical household, everything from Buddy Rich, Gene Krupa to Mahavishna, Tower Power, early on, all the way to Southern Rock, Leonard Skinner, Boston, Kansas. And my brother, who's 9 years older than me, he was the person that brought all the metal into the household.
Okay.
So, he brought in Kiss and Black Sabbath and Alice Cooper, all of that stuff. So it started there because I had already been playing music before I started playing extreme metal, I guess I kind of grew with the scene, so to speak. We started off, we had bands like Venom and Celtic Frost, and then you had Metallica, and then Slayer, and then like right from Slayer to Napalm Death into Morbid Angel and Terrorizer and all of that stuff, So, but that I already had a pretty solid foundation. I was already playing in clubs by the time I did my first club gig when I was 8 years old.
Whoa.
Wow. And I was playing out with my brother who played guitar and my cousin who's right in between my brother and I in age. He played bass and I was a drummer, and we were, playing out, my community church functions or my mother's garden club meetings or the clubhouse in the neighborhood. We were playing all the time. So I had a pretty solid foundation before I ever even really heard double bass,
Yeah, totally.
So I come from a little bit different background than most of the other guys that are playing extreme metal music, I guess, right now.
Yep.
There's a lot of the guys that are, they're 10 years younger than me, and 20 years younger than me now. So a lot of these guys, they just grew up with what they grew up with, and
totally.
You have a tendency to pigeonhole yourself,
Yep.
So I was fortunate.
Yeah, well, it's good you mentioned that. Like you said, like I was doing real recording, not only in my basement, or like in my room with a sound card, because yes, back in the days you have to make it happen. You didn't have like all those accessibilities of today, the internet. I remember I have a tape cassette of Peter Eskin, and I think I destroyed the tape because I listen to it all the time forever. Or I remember when I was listening, the first album with Gene Hoglan, Death, and I was in my room and said, okay, what is he doing there? I didn't have videos for references. Right, I didn't have visual. I have to repick everything. And this is something I think it make it's a good comparison, a good mirror of back then and now. You can have that two the two sides of the metal. You can rewrite and you can have that accessibility at the same time. That's cool. Good opportunity.
Gene Hoglan, it's funny. My band in high school, the Deboning Method, we opened up for Dark Angel in 1988. I want to say. I think probably 1988. And I was already a big Gene Hoglan fan all the way back then, and that was like almost a decade before he started playing with Death. So,
yeah.
It's pretty crazy how how far we all go back, you know.
Yeah, but there's so much good influences on my side. I think today there's a lot of great musicians, but on my side, I really still like the old dude back in the days because everything have to be built, like you mentioned, like they have to build everything. So just an example, I was talking with a friend the other day. Back in the days, 2 bass drum. If you were in the music union, you're gonna get more paid, because you have 2 bass drum. So some guys, they didn't even have pedals on it. They only have 2 bass drum just for getting more paid. This is something you won't see that in our days, you know?
Oh, no. And I mean, most musicians that are playing right now that have, you know, come onto the scene and started playing, it's a totally different world than what I grew up with, for sure, you know. And this is kind of one of my pet peeves about just musicians in general. And like, you probably heard this all the time when you hear guys saying, "Oh man, you know, this town sucks. You know, there's no metalheads here. We need to go on tour." Yeah. You know, and I've always wondered, like, what that meant. You know, what do you mean you're going to go on tour to get fans? I mean, if you can't draw 500 people in your hometown, you're not going to be able to do it anywhere else either. You know, I mean, people are the same everywhere, all over the world. You know, we all kind of generally like the same types of things, regardless of what town you're in. You know, and good music is good music. It doesn't matter where you're at. And if you're not getting somewhere in your hometown, maybe you need to rethink your formula instead of going on tour. You know what I mean? Like I don't get it. You know, it's like, to me, what made the difference, as far as I remember, was actually having people locally show up. You know, I'll give you an example. I grew up in Columbia, South Carolina. Okay. And you know the band Hootie and the Blowfish? Yep, Hootie. Okay. Those guys were playing for a decade, and probably for 5 years or 4 years up until they got signed, each of those guys was probably making $100,000 a year just playing in Hootie and the Blowfish. And nobody knew who they were, except for the people on the East Coast that they played to. You know what I mean? They actually lost money when they signed to Atlantic for several years. Wow. You know? Okay. So the point is like, they were playing to thousands of people a week, frat parties all up and down the East Coast, man. And like, you know, they didn't need Atlantic Records. You know what I mean? Like, so that's what I don't understand about like today's musician when they say, "Oh, we got to go on tour." I mean, to some degree, you got to branch out, but you shouldn't be branching out when you have no fan base. That makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I don't know. So
no, you're right. It's the same question with people. They are saying like, "I need an endorsement right now because I'm going to get free stuff." It's not the way it works. It's not what you need necessarily. Like, I mean, you have great drums. I endorse the same DW. DW is my sponsor too. But I mean, I don't see that way. For us, it's more like a help on the road. I will need a kit for like as a backline. I will need some. Hey guys, I broke some. You know, it's help. I'm not thinking about pricing. I'm talking about like the help, the family kind of thing. We can provide, and it's not a one-way deal. It goes both ways. And a lot of people say, "I'm gonna get free stuff, right? And I'm gonna be famous. I mean, then I have an endorsement with that drumstick, and I will be famous." It doesn't work like that too either.
But, you know. And here's the thing: is this is another example of modern day musicians putting the cart in front of the horse. So in the same way that bands want to go on tour with no local following, they don't understand that drum companies don't endorse you; you endorse them.
Totally, you need to play 100% with you.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's like the whole thing is backwards, you know. And I've got an ongoing joke with several of my, you know, well-known drumming friends that, you know, today's endorsers are the new customer.
That's.
I mean, because that's what it is. I mean, you know, these companies are not endorsing you; they're just selling you gear at a percentage off. You know, I mean, just let's look at it for what it is. You know.
Totally. And it's where the line need to be drawn. And some people, they don't see that, but it's cool because you tour so much, like with different bands. Normally, when you tour, do you use backline kit or you use your kit mostly? Or how you manage that? Because you have a big setup. How you manage normally?
It depends. Like if I'm doing local or anything in the U.S. tour wise, I'll just take my own stuff. This is this kid is kind of like everything in the kitchen sink. I don't really play. You know what I mean? Like even when I'm doing metal stuff, I don't play this much stuff out. You know, it's like, but yeah. So like if I'm in Europe or whatever, any kind of clinics, I'll just get a backline kit. It's just the easiest thing to do. You know.
Oh, for sure. To ship something overseas, it's complicated.
Expensive.
It's got and I remember a long time ago I shipped stuff from Canada to Latin America, and in the shipping I was on tour and they break one of our guitar, and they completely strip a few part of my hardware part, my hi-hat stand and so, because they put it out for checking out in one country, and when they didn't put it back well, so after the gig my hat was completely not workable. So it's a reality, and this is where sometimes the sponsor can be cool, because I call Scott, Garrison, and I say, hey man, I have a problem. Perfect, go there. I fix it for the moment for that show. But it's a reality.
That's what it's for.
Exactly. So now you have a cool studio. Do you produce some stuff, or do you record things in this studio, or are you're less active right now during the pandemic? I'm talking about pandemic situation. How is it look like for you, the pandemic, and practicing, recording, and all that stuff?
It's been. I mean, all of my drum tracks for the last 15 years have come out of this room. So
so cool.
I don't really go anywhere to do anything else. I don't need anything really here. I can do really, really great. I mean, better sounds here than I've gotten anywhere else, just because I'm in control of it. At least for what I want to hear, you know. So I'm able to work from here, and you know that part's really easy. As far as the pandemic, we you know, I haven't been doing a lot of touring anyway. The last bit of touring stuff that I've been doing has been strictly drum related. With the band, my band Serpent's Rise, which, you know, I never really actually wanted to say that, my band. I look for guys to play with, consistent people, for about 9 or 10 years. And I was at the point of just giving up and just saying, you know what, I'm just going to continue to do everything myself. Because the first 2-3 records, I played guitar, bass, drums, percussion, everything, you know.
Wow.
But I didn't want that, you know. I kept looking for guys, and I have a very high criteria, right?
So it's okay. Yeah.
So number one thing would be you have to have a job.
Yeah.
The second thing is you have to have a card.
But that's a
you
good
know what
thing.
I mean? I really don't care. I don't give a squat about your musical ability. If you have good time management, you have a car, you have a job, and some money in your back pocket to actually make this work, I'm cool with it, you know?
Yep.
But that took me 9 or 10 years.
But it takes time, because you want to have the right person to fit with those person too, because to make composition and or play on stage and to live with those person too. I've been touring for 16 years, 300 shows a year, and I would say the drumming part and was not the hardest part. Is the personality you have to deal with other person, and you have to, you know, when you're in the kitchen and you're with your guitar player, and I don't know, you have an issue, whatever. You have to deal with that. But I've been lucky. I'm touching wood, was pretty good. But I understand your point. And when you do a project like you did, because I really like the song you are writing in this project, Serpent Rise, and it's very cool. And I think you can feel the other musician are not session. You know what I mean? They really put their self on it, and they want to be part of it. Is another thing. And and I understand why you put 9 years for finding everybody. Yeah, I
mean, you know, and now I finally got guys, which is great. I mean, they're all my brothers and some of the best players that I've had thus far, definitely. And you know, this whole during the pandemic, we released in April of 2020 Interpersonal Violence, which was the 4th Serpent's Rise.
Okay.
We have another record ready to go already.
Wow.
You know, and it's another thing that I've noticed happening in the music industry and with newer bands in general is like, man, they're milking, you know, 8 to 10 songs for 5 years. And I don't understand it. I mean, you know, as well as I do, like nobody's putting out records like every year. Like when I grew up, man, Kiss and Leonard Skinner and Black Sabbath and all these bands, you know, Steely Dan, even all the way down to jazz artists. I mean, every 12 to 18 months or 12 to 16 months, they were releasing material. They had to, you know, and like nowadays, like I've been in 2 or 3 different bands where I literally spent 2 years, 2.5 years, and these guys, we were only able to put together like 5 songs in like that amount of time period. I'm like, what the heck is going on with these young musicians that there's no follow through, you know? It's like, and I think that the computer recording, it has a lot to do with it, because like these guys just want to redo and redo and redo and redo. And like the next thing you know, it's a year later and you've gotten nothing done. You know, it's like,
yep.
I guess because I grew up in a completely different environment. You know, I grew up with like, you pay for your studio time. I have literally 4 hours to get these drums done. And if I'm not happy with them, that's on me.
It's done. Yeah.
You know, it's done, you know, so that's not the case nowadays, because all of these younger musicians just feel like, well, I can just Control Alt Delete and do it again.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. Oh no, I know what you're talking about, because I was maybe like kind of the same mood of you. Like I remember I have my studio rehearsal room with my bands back in the days. It was a hang. We're going then for a hang. So but a hang, but we were even at 14, 16 years old, we were planning well our record. So we were really productive with what we have. And I remember going to the studio was a luxury you cannot imagine at that time. You were like, we're going to studio, guys. Whoa. So we're dreaming to that thing for 3 months, arriving in the studio, setting up the drum, and like exactly what you said. We had like, okay, drum is 4 or 5 hours, guys, 4 songs. Playing, and you're not happy was 2-3 tracks per recording, and that's it. You don't make 25 of them, and there's not much editing. It was tape. Back then it was a tape, so you have to do it well. But it's a very big school, because you start to use your ear and play with the click track efficiently. There in a good efficient. You're not like just like, okay, anyway they will quantize that. No. You have to be tight with that click track at that moment, and this is hard. It's a work in progress.
Yeah, and you know, let's take into consideration that like click tracks weren't even really used up until digital recording started. I mean, you know, they had Lin drum machines and they would run a drum loop or something. And but most of the stuff that we all grew up on, and most of the music that you still hear, this is the ironic thing. All of the music that you still hear on the radio, have you ever noticed that you don't hear a whole lot of new music on the radio? Like there might be like one song or whatever, but like one song, and then the other 9 are stuff from the 70s and 80s and 90s. And that is because that was the music that actually had publishing rights, and that's the music that actually makes money. Because all of the stuff released now, there's no publishing rights on any of this stuff because it's all streaming. And what's ironic about that is that's still the music that people pay for.
I think because
you know,
for example, I think the Black Album from Metallica is one of the best top album seller in the moment, and it's still one of their best ever, even when they're publishing new album. So imagine, and this is 90, I think, something like 91, 90 by memory. So it's a good example, and all the band like Jimi Hendrix, Led Zeppelin, Beatles, they're still sending a lot. Crazy.
Way more than anybody else, and it's funny is because that music actually had value. Like people don't realize now that like music has no value. You know, and like it, and I there was just a thread here recently where somebody was, you know, reaming the guy from Spotify a new butthole, you know, about what they pay artists, and I think that people think the average person doesn't understand that the music that they're streaming isn't worth anything. And he didn't make his money from streaming that music. He made his money off of selling your data and advertising.
Yes,
the music is the music is just a way to get all of these people to come in one place, right? But where the money is actually being made is in your data. Because you sign up on this and you click I agree. They sell your data, and then advertisers coming in because they know that there's, you know, 5 million people using this service. It has nothing to do with the music, and nobody realizes that. It's amazing to me. And it's like, would you fault me for opening up a restaurant and becoming really successful? You know, I've never seen anything like it. And I understand that yes, they could pay artists more, But at the same time, all of these artists are the ones that are saying, screw this guy, screw his platform. And then in the same breath will turn around and say, go catch my free podcast or my free Twitch, stream, or download my record for free or whatever. It's like musicians are our own worst enemy. You know what I mean? Like it baffles me. It really does.
It's funny because yesterday I was talking with my girlfriend about that, and she told me, I want to buy songs on iTunes, for example. I said, perfect, do it. I do that. I still do that. I'm vintage. So, but she said, yeah, because I want to have it, but I want to own it. I pay but the saddest part too is, yes, but there's the quantity, the cents or even the quarter. I don't know exactly the percentage is going back to the artist is
right.
Almost nothing.
Well, it depends. It depends. If you're through a label, yes. But like, for instance, I have Serpent's Rise up on iTunes myself, and I make 100% of the profit.
Oh, this is good. This is good to hear that.
Because iTunes knows that they're not making money there. They're making money again off of data collection and off of advertising.
Oh yeah, this is good to hear that because because I was good, do it. You can do that. I think you will make some people happy at the end of the day for sure, and you will own those songs. I still have CDs, but you say, well, I don't use them because it's complicated on tour, but I miss the pockets. I like the pocket, or even the vinyls. I still have a little collection of vinyls, opening, smelling the paper, and
it's a totally different experience. But here's the thing too about that, when we were growing up until like the year 2000 or 2000, I think it was 7 is the year that basically everybody had a cell phone in their back pocket.
Yeah, about that. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So, the entertainment up until that point was music for a lot of people, right? So during the year, you may have spent $1,000 on, 100 different bands' recordings, let's say. Now you spend that $1,000 on what?
Mm-hmm. Yep, on that, exactly.
This is the entertainment now. And I think the faster that musicians realize that, I think the faster that we can all come to a solution about how to tackle the problem of music not being worth anything. Well, the first thing you got to do is stop giving it away.
Yeah. Totally.
And Spotify can't release your music without your approval. And if you're unhappy with what Spotify pays you, then don't put your music up there.
No. Yeah.
Right. Yes. I mean, I don't know what the big deal is really.
Well. But anyway, it's a big business, and I think, like you said, I think if short things can make it like bigger change, but it needs everybody work together. So anyway, we don't have much time, but I have a few I think I want to ask you, buddy. But changing completely topic, I want to talk about you're very fast. I mean, your hands are super fast, and your feet too. Everybody has their different technique and things like that. When you start to play fast, like when you were a young kid until now, is there any ways it's you? I mean, it's your way for sure, but you practice your warm up and you still try to develop more your feet and your hand, or you jumped on the kit back then and it was already quite easy for you at certain speed, for example. Do you have any way to work on that?
Here's the thing. It's like it's like building a snowball or building a snowman. You start with this and then you roll it and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's kind of like that. I already had pretty decent facility. Yep. Even young. I mean, I started playing Kiss songs the day my dad brought a drum kit home for me when I was 5 years old. I mean, I was all about it. I had the basic mechanics. I understood already, the basic structure of the stuff that I was listening to at a very early age,
Yep.
And as I said, I grew with the scene. So, the moment I started hearing Fast as a Shark, Motorhead, or Angel of Death even,
yep.
Those speeds, they're not hard to play. And people miss this too. It's the speed is not the issue. It's the endurance to keep that speed up, right?
Totally.
So at that point, you have to approach it like a weightlifter. The more you do, right, and the easier it becomes. So, so when I first discovered Angel of Death, let's say, I would come home from school and I would play that song 5, 6, 8 times in a row until I got it, and it only took 4 to 6 or 8 days.
Yeah.
Because I was doing it. I was actually doing it. I wasn't looking for an exercise to help me do it. I wasn't going on the internet, even, or going to the local, lessons and asking them how to do it. I basically, I just sat there and did it, and I think that's the biggest thing. You just have to sit there and do it.
Yeah. Because I know a lot of people, they try to reach faster, like to be faster, like to have a super fast end. But you mentioned something good, is the endurance, like to do a show of 2 hours, let's say on tour,
right?
Like 6 days per week, let's say.
Well, screw that. I mean, try to play double bass at 200 for 1 minute.
It's
screw the hours. I mean, what I mean? Like, So, and that's not even that fast,
No, but it's the endurance.
But I think that, like playing a slower tempo for a longer time period helps you more than playing fast tempos at a short time period,
Yep.
So, and that helped me because, Angel of Death is not necessarily all that fast. It's just an extremely hard song because of the endurance, that you're putting into it.
Yeah.
So if you can get the cardio and if you can train your body that, like, hey, and I'm not a proponent of, you'll hear everybody say, oh, you need to start slow and work it up. No, you don't. That's why nobody can achieve what they're trying to achieve. Okay. No amount of playing slow is ever going to help you play fast, period. Right? Why? Because there's different muscle groups involved, right?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
So the moment you go from one tempo to the next, 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 all of these variables change, right? So if you want to play fast, you have to play fast. And you have to not care if it's sloppy. You have to not care if it's inconsistent, right? Because that's the other stuff that when you go back and do it slow, you figure out. But your body is never going to learn, like, this is what I want you to, my brain is telling my body to do something. And unless you're doing it, the body will never adapt to it, period. And it doesn't matter how much slow playing you do. If you want to play fast, you have to play fast.
Play fast. Yeah, no, I know.
Right.
It's it's a good cue for students, I'm sure. Like because I remember, like, Steve Smith says one day about a bit sometime, like you said, it was mentioning, like, play everything slow, everything fast, everything soft, everything loud, but try to make but don't try to compare. Do it like that, and you will, and your body will adapt and understand. And it's a bit it's true, actually, because he adapt his technique and everything to whatever what he wants. Like if he wants to play hard, the hands are switching, and it's not the muscle are not making comparison. It's not like this is soft and this is hard. They change different at the speed you would do. Exactly.
And I don't put a lot of thought into technique in general.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because people spend all this time on a pad in front of a mirror, and what happens? The first thing that happens when you get on a drum kit, all your angles change, right?
Oh, yeah, totally.
So, like, you can't rely on that because what you get here, it changes. So, and it's the same thing with sound. I mean, there's 1,000,001 ways to hit a drum, right? Mm-hmm. I'll give you 2 examples. Here's one way to hit a drum, right? Here's another way.
Oh, totally. Yep.
Sounds like 2 different drums. So, what sound are you going for? That, to me, always dictated my technique, which is why I don't really have a lot of technique, because sound is so much more important to me than technique, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, for sure. And you did a lot of recording. You play with different bands, so I'm sure you have to work on the sound of what you were looking at. But with a band, for example, you have your band and you have an idea of what is the sound, so you have to work with that kit too. And of course, now you just mentioned something like a few minutes ago, technology have changed. Now you can put triggers and it's done, but you can also have microphones and do it organically. And we're talking about another thing completely.
Yep, totally.
Totally. I remember Vinnie Paul playing with like the Danmar wood beater with like putting like a 25 cents taped, and for getting that trigger.
We all back in the 80s, man. I was doing it with red Danmar beaters and quarters, and that's the way it had to be done. We didn't have the technology for it.
Yeah, but that was sounding still great. You listen to
it sounds better. I like to hear the drummer. I like to hear the drummer's heart and soul and touch. You know, and that's something that I just do not get out of modern metal, which is why I don't listen to modern metal at all. I can't. It just goes against everything in my being about being a musician,
Yeah, because there's a soul. There's a soul. There's a swing.
Yeah.
even whatever style, there's there's that funky groovy thing, whatever, if it's metal or jazz or whatever, that signature will be there, instead to be compressed and quantized and be just like a
made perfect.
Exactly. So
I don't understand it, because there's so many great musicians, right? That are like,
crazy.
What is so unremarkable about their own playing that they feel like that they have to make everything perfect? I just don't get it. Like, to me, that's the stuff that made music special. All of those mistakes and stuff that were made on all those recordings we were talking about earlier, that's still the shit that people pay for.
It's true. You're right.
That's crazy.
Right. That's crazy. No, I know. And it's funny because you just said something like too. I went to a little jazz club like recently, and the band did a few mistakes, but I like it because it was not bad mistake. They are so good musicians. They can go around, but that make that night, it's a special night. And you watch the show and okay, that's a cool thing they did tonight. If I go see them next week, it will be something different. And this is a flavor. It's hard to keep.
Exactly.
It's I need to be fresh. Hey, time flies, man. It's finished. No, it's always. I didn't see time goes by. Look. What are your project, the coming project or stuff we should look at it? You talk about the album, but just tell for the audience they can look at whatever,
Yeah, well, all right. Serpent's Rise is pretty much the only band that I'm doing right now, consistently at least. And I am involved with Night or Sidic, but that's just, shows here and there. But my main thing is Serpent's Rise. We have a website, serpentsrise.com. You can check out most of our materials there, available on iTunes and streaming services. We have full play-along videos of us as a band playing all of our songs live, which is cool to see. No editing, none of that. It's just,
playing.
There's also my website, which is DerekRoddyLive.com.
Yep.
And I offer, drum lessons and streaming services and all of that kind of stuff, So, just basically just trying to focus on Serpents and just make it the best that I can. And, we'll see what happens from there. We're just really trying to write and just get a new one released, which we're going to record all live. Again, everybody in the same room, all at the same time, because I just miss that vibe. So, that's kind of what's on my plate right now. Hopefully the drumming, clinic world and teaching world will open up soon, and we can get back to doing some more of that kind of stuff. But I really don't have any plans as of right now to join a band or to go on tour or do any of that kind of stuff. It's just not the right time for it, for me at least.
For a lot, I think 2022 will be a reopening of all that, I guess. Some part are more opening than others, but but if we talk about the real tour or clinics series, it will take time a bit. It was a pleasure to have you, buddy. You're a great musician. I told you I discovered you back in the days. So and for me, it's a blessing to have you on the show. It's super nice, and I'm sure a lot of people they are going to be happy to ask you questions. Actually, if they have more questions, we have a chat. They can ask you questions. So
good, and like I said, anybody want to reach out? I'm pretty available on Facebook and. It's Derek Roddy Official on Facebook and Instagram, and just hit me up.
Keep that, man. You're a very good, down-to-earth person, and this is what we like, I think, from you. So keep this. Is a good thing to have.
Thank you, Eric. I appreciate it.
Thanks, man. But have a good day. Take care.
Cheers.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
So yes, we have questions for Derek. You can ask a few questions in the chat. You can also contact him, and sometimes some people are writing to us directly, and we can forward the question to him. So don't forget, if you have you don't know, we have a drumfillscafe.com. Everything is there, like interviews, like article, contest, whatever. Go check it out. And the next in 2 weeks will be my friend Dennis with another English, a Drumfill Cafe in English. But we have French, Portuguese, and Spanish. So I invite you to discover the other interviews and other articles in different languages. So have a good week and see you soon. Bye.